Hello, everyone. Good morning from wherever you're chiming in. My name is Megan Taslam, and I'm here live in Thyroid Healthy Balance to discuss the avenues of weight loss and the blocks that we can that can occur in our body, especially in light of adrenal fatigue and stress. It can be a huge block to us, especially women, but men as well, when we're looking to achieve weight loss. Now, this is a very, very common theme. And, when I put out the poll on Monday, I noticed that 46% of you actually voted that weight is an issue. It's a struggle that you have. So I wanted to honor this topic and talk about something very significant, because you could be doing all of the things like eating well, exercising, yada, yada, yada. However, you still may be having difficulties in shifting weight. And there's a very good reason for that. And it's generally tied into the adrenals, because with our endocrine system, we've got our stress response, and then we have our adrenals, and we have our thyroid. We also have our digestive issues, or digestive system, I should say. May not be issues. The thing is these hormones, they're chemical messages that travel through the blood, and essentially they communicate with each other. All right. So here's the thing, like, our body is always on our side, and our body is always trying to keep us safe. So if there is significant amounts of stress, or a stress response that mimics a significant amount of stress, all right, sometimes it may not be the thing, but it's our response to the thing because of many different areas of our life, past trauma, a patterning in our body, lots of different scenarios, overwork, something in particular that's occurred across your timeline. So there are many different reasons for this, and what it can do is it can mimic a significant amount of stress, and over time it basically puts a block on your thyroid. It can also cause blood sugar issues. Okay, so really, really disrupting your blood sugar, because your body is seeking energy. It is trying to grab energy from anywhere it can go. So there's very good reason for this. So sometimes we're working on the food, and we're working on the exercise more and all this type of thing. But at the end of the day, what our body truly needs is to calm down, to reset, to recalibrate, and for us to feel safe, and for our nervous system to feel nurtured and safe. And that, my friends, is when things will start to shift. So I really wanted to lean into this topic today. If you're jumping on here live, please say hello. Drop adrenals if you're here live today. If you're coming in on the replay, please do a hashtag replay, and ask any questions along the way. I have the chat open here. Let me just refresh that. We're recording this training as well, so it can go out to you as a recording. And, certainly let me know. Hey, Juliana. Hey, Kath. Great to see you here. Marla's coming on. Fantastic. Excellent. So everyone is here. And certainly if you're jumping in, just give me a big warm heart and let me know that you're here. Alrighty, so is stress secretly blocking your thyroid and weight loss? Typically, yes. All right. So, today what we're doing is we're diving into how stress and adrenal fatigue actually blocks your thyroid and your weight loss goals. And I'm going to start with a story about Mandy. So Mandy was doing everything right? However, being pulled from pillar to post for years on end, eventually it caught up with her and she was struggling to get out of bed and the weight kept creeping on. She had energy highs and crashes, and essentially it got her to a space where she was wide but tired. You know that feeling when you're really wide, like you kind of got this angst in you? I know, I've been there. But underneath it, you're really exhausted. Yeah, but you can't seem to switch off because something is driving you. It's almost like you've got your foot on the accelerator and your foot on the brake at the same time. And the car, like if you can imagine that, you put the foot on the accelerator, and you put the foot on the brake, and the car is going, you know, it's kind of like you're wired and tired, right? And you can't switch off. So does this sound familiar? Let me know. Drop it in the comments. Tell me your story if that sounds familiar. Drop a yes if you can relate this wide but tired feeling, because this is very evident of a level of adrenal fatigue, which is most likely tripping onto your thyroid and causing both systems, or actually it's one system, but causing both organs to be a little out of whack or a lot out of whack. Okay. And you know what? Like I've said this so many times before, and it truly is the truth. There's no shortcuts, unfortunately. So sometimes when we're in this space, we can take some beautiful adrenal tonics if they're indicated, or adaptogens, or an adaptogenic formula. We can take a few things, from there's a wealth of different treatment plan options in the naturopathic world. So we can take a few things and they may give us a prop for a couple of weeks or maybe a month. But at the end of the day, if they are a prop and we're not doing other things in like the diet and the lifestyle and, calming the nervous system, they're essentially, it's almost like the body is going to become accustomed to that and it's not going to work anymore. All right. It may just be getting us through and then it's going to kind of peter out because we haven't actually changed what's going on underneath. We haven't actually addressed the driver in the first place. And, some of my clients, like they have a significant amount of stress right now. However, it's a known stress that has a known end point, right? Just to give you an example, like a job that's stressful and you've got to get out and you've made the maneuvers to get out and to switch that up, and you've got an end point. So you just got to get to that end point. That is something where a treatment plan can be really, really helpful, because you don't really have the space and the time to work on those underlying layers, because you've kind of got to you're locked in. That feeling when you're locked in, you've just got to do what you can do to get through, to get to there. Let me know if you resonate with that. Because that's, if that is you, that's something that, just an interim naturopathic treatment plan can really help you. It can help you with whatever symptomatology you have that's going on. Is it going to fix it long term? No, it's not. But it's going to give you a prop. Okay, so if that's something that you're needing, if you're needing a prop, just type prop. Whether you're listening to this next week or next year, just type prop, okay? And then I'll reach out to you, because that's something that, sometimes like even, okay, an example of a prop is where, you have an acute infection and there's obviously, there's things going on in your immune system, but you need a treatment plan to really get over that acute infection. That's an example of a prop, okay? Alrighty, so what is this stress thyroid connection? Well, I'd be lying if I said that stress wasn't involved. Like seriously, pretty much I would say 100% of my clients that come and I work with through the Thyroid Restoration Roadmap and through our conscious living for wellness and vitality platform have issues with stress or their stress response. Like, it's gotten to the point where it's really breaking down systems in their body, causing an alarmed response or an exhausted response. So sometimes with our adrenals, we can have an alarmed response, then we adapt somewhat. But eventually what happens is we just become exhausted. So, you know, the cortisol, it's petered out. It's not even there anymore. It's just like rock bottom. Okay, so what we want to do is when we wake up in the morning, we want that cortisol to spike within an hour. You know, that's a healthy response, but we don't want it to be really high when we wake up, because that means we're waking up stressed. Okay. We don't want it to be bottomed out either, because we'll be dragging the chain all day. We won't be able to get out of bed. And that may actually be the case for you. So this is where functional testing can be really advantageous, because it just allows us to see, well, what actually is going on in your body? Is it mirroring your signs and symptoms? You know, or is it something else? Because that will then determine how we go about tailoring the treatment plan, because not everybody can deal with an adrenal tonic. You know, sometimes we need an adaptogen formula to help with whatever's going on with your stress response. And again, I'm just going to reiterate, this is just like a little prop while we're then working on changing some significant factors in your life, the way you do life. You know, I mean, your lifestyle. I mean, what is your lifestyle? You know, is what I do right? No, absolutely not. Like, you know, it's about finding your right way. It's about finding a way to conduct your life and to live your life so that you're in that place of joy, peace, love, harmony for at least the majority of the day. 60-70% of the day would be amazing. You know, if we're getting up in the day and our day is really just like 5-10% joy and happiness and love and peace and honor and laughter, and then the rest of it is just really like hard yakka, like working too hard, stressed, tired but wide, that's where honestly something has to shift. And there are so many different ways to do life. Often what we do is we take on what is known to us. And sometimes it's about really expanding our mindset and just breaking through that barrier to see that there's other ways to do things and to be, so that we're not taxing ourselves. Okay. Anyway, that is kind of like a big thing. It's not, you know, that's not like the tip that I'm providing today, because we, you know, with areas of your life that may warrant significant change, we need to break it down into steps. You know, otherwise it's just overwhelming. It's just like, it's too big, it's massive. So sometimes you may have like a thought that something has to change, and the seeds start to plant. Sorry, you sow the seeds, I should say. You start to sow the seeds. So you have like little thoughts around something, and it may not manifest until a year or 2 years' time. However, it's really, really significant to just, you know, that idea that's probably come from your higher self. Okay, if you watched my live last week, I expressed my journey over in Peru, where really it was my higher self met my ego, and I gleaned so much out of that, and I had such an amazing journey and learning through my journey. So if you wanted to watch or get the replay on last week's live training about my ego meets higher self journey in Peru, just type Peru in the comments and we will send it across to you in your messenger. Alrighty, but back to the topic at hand. This is huge. To me, it's no surprise that thyroid issues, underactive, overactive, autoimmune, are up there in like the top percentile of endocrine issues. And autoimmune, thyroid is the biggest. I'll have to say, I think the COVID vaccine has definitely triggered that in that direction, because there has been a huge spike, pardon the pun, spike protein, huge spike since the pandemic. All right. But anyway, I'm not talking about that today. I'm talking about the stress thyroid connection and how that can significantly impact your ability to shift and lose weight. So we need to break it down. All right. So stress, the impact of stress and your response to stress on the adrenal glands, it pumps out cortisol, or it pushes the adrenals to pump out what's not there. It puts a lot of pressure on your body. All right. Cortisol disrupts the thyroid hormones with its conversion and with its signaling. So the thyroid isn't able to respond. It's almost like the thyroid's like has a hissy fit. It's like, oh, there's too much going on. I can't do it. So let's just go down. Let's just put the brakes on. So T4, instead of producing T3 or converting to T3, which is our most metabolically active hormone that helps to govern our metabolism in every cell in the body, it actually goes from T4 to reverse T3. And those of you who have come into my world and we've done this level of functional, or actually it's not really a functional test, it's like a extended pathology test, and to have a look at all areas of your thyroid markers, you know why your reverse T3 is sky high. All right, it's a significant marker for us to understand the way your body's working. It tells me that there's a huge amount of stress on your system because the body is trying to put the brakes on. Does that make sense? Let me have a look in the comments. Yep, type Peru. Okay, here we go. Okay, just shoot through any questions. All right. Cortisol dysregulates blood sugar. Okay, it can be a causation for energy crashes, right? So basically, it instigates a blood sugar rise. So if you've got significant amount of stress and then you're always like pulsing, your blood sugar is always pulsing, well, then it's got to get into the cell. And over time, and look, this doesn't happen overnight, but over time, if this has been your patterning, down the track, there could be an inflammation that occurs in your arteries and a sluggishness, otherwise known as like an insulin resistance type scenario, which is very commonly paired with a thyroid issue, because both come from the same root cause, which is stress or unresolved stress or poor response to stress or just taxed body from stress. Okay, so your body isn't failing you at all. It's really trying to protect you. All right, with the blood sugar, it's trying to give you energy. With the reverse T3, it's trying to put the brakes on. It's trying to tell you to calm down. Okay, so it's trying to slow you down. So sluggish thyroid, it's trying to slow you down because you've got the foot on the pedal, on the accelerator and on the brake at the same time, and the car won't drive in that way. All right, you won't be able to function. So basically, when that protective state, so your body's trying to protect you, when that protective state stays switched on for too long, it just drains your thyroid and your energy, okay? Because you've got those hormones that are instigating behaving in a certain way to try and protect you, but then on the flip side, you're still doing the thing that got you there in the first place. So we're not a machine, we're a living, breathing organism that is vibrational. So we're sensitive and we can pick up these cues. And you know what? Underpinning all of that can be a lot of little triggers. There can be, mindset issues, meaning I don't really like that term, the way I phrase that actually. It's not really an issue, but like for a lot of people, there's a self-worth or overwork. There's something that's underpinning it. So it's about becoming acutely aware of all of that so you can start to do the work. And when you do the work on yourself to help your life, to help your lifestyle, through diet and through improving your stress response, and when you can see a glimmer of hope and you can see a way out, that's where that starts and begins to lay the foundations that will then supersede what you're doing that got you to where you are today, to then help your thyroid heal. And when all of that's back into beautiful harmony and is recalibrated, that's when the weight will start to shift. All right? Shortcut, Ozempic. Do not do Ozempic. Oh my goodness, the amount of conversations I've had with people that are just going for this shortcut. It's not actually a shortcut. It's going to create more of a mess down the line. Because why? Why do I know? Because you're not actually looking at the foundational pieces here. You're just going for another quick fix that's going to put a block and stuff up your hormones down the track. Yeah, you might have seen that it might give people results, but what else is going on underneath? It's not a solution. I'm telling you now, it's not a solution. Don't go there. It's going to throw out so much in your body. All right, I just really wanted to mention that because I've had a lot of conversations. A lot of people are going for this Ozempic, All right. Okay, so the signs that the stress is running the show. Here are your symptoms. You're going to feel fatigued despite any amount of sleep, right? Who has felt that? Like you're just drained despite any amount of sleep. Now, I'm talking about a constant pattern, like it's day in, day out. The weight has crept on despite healthy eating and movement. You've got energy crashes. So your energy plummets and you're kind of needing a prop. So you're needing something sweet to give you that, and then after about an hour, it's like, boom, you because, it's not sustainable. Might work here and there, but if it becomes a pattern, it's not sustainable. It's going to wear your body down even more. And you're wired but tired, so you just can't switch off. So which one of those do you notice the most often? Share it in the comments. I'd love to hear. Fatigue despite sleep, weight creep despite healthy eating and movement, energy crashes linked to blood sugar, so you're feeling like you need something sweet to keep you going, or wired but tired and you can't switch off. Which one of those do you notice the most often? I'd love to know. And if you're watching the replay, just pop it in as well and I'll zoom back in and have a look at these comments. New time, by the way, 10 a.m. on a Wednesday. It used to be 7:30 at night. So pop it in the diary. Maybe have a morning tea break at that time so you can tune in here and grab some little tips for your thyroid healing journey. Alrighty, so I'm going to now provide you with some lifestyle shifts to help you break the cycle. So if you feel that you're in this vicious cycle and you're unsure with what to do next, here are some small however significant lifestyle shifts that you could utilize or contemplate or just start to integrate into your life to help you break this cycle. Okay, so the first is a circuit breaker moment. All right, so a little micro pause throughout the day. You may need to, have it as a little reminder, have it as a post-it note, a little reminder on the computer, like little micro pauses, like whatever resonates to you. It could be some deep breathing. It could be some stretching. It could be a reminder to step outside and gaze into the sun. These are little micro circuit breaker moments that actually bring you back into the now. And this is what us humans fail miserably at most of the time, because we're all, and I'm generalizing, of course, we're always on to the next thing. All right. So bring in some circuit breaker moments, right? This is going to do is it's going to signal to your nervous system that you are safe, because you're being with your nervous system. You're recalibrating, you're anchoring in, you're calming down, you're bringing the breath into your body. You're gazing into the sunlight and allowing that beautiful healing sun come into your iris and warm your whole body. Who doesn't love gazing into the sun? Like, when I mean gazing into the sun, like, you're not, you don't want to get tears running down your eyes. Like, your eyes are actually closed, but you're gazing into the sun, if that makes sense. You're in that direction. Laying on the ground. I love laying on the ground. No mat, no towel, no blanket, just straight on the grass. Too soggy out there at the moment, so can't do that for many, many weeks. It's been horrible weather here. But yeah, just like getting your spine onto the ground. Okay, so number 2, to stabilize your blood sugar. So really anchor your meals in with good quality protein, fiber, and healthy fats. Okay, now this is a bit of a tricky area because I don't know your patterning, your digestive system. I work very closely with my clients on this, especially those that have digestive disturbances. We get to the root cause of what's going on. It's generally been triggered from stress a long time ago and has become a forever and a day thing, and then suddenly there's dysbiosis, and then there's different species that are growing that shouldn't be growing, etc., etc. All right, so sometimes we need to actually really fine tune and see what's going on. However, if you're feeling that you're getting those blood sugar spikes and then plummets, just really look at that and go for things like healthy fats and protein, right? And good quality fiber. It's very simple, really. And just begin there and see if that doesn't make a difference. We're talking marginal difference here. For those of you who have significant adrenal fatigue that's become your pattern and is now interrupting the hormones of your thyroid, this doesn't heal overnight. This is why I created the Thyroid Restoration Roadmap, actually, so that we have 4 months together to really work on these foundational layers. Anyway, more about that later. The third lifestyle hack or shift to break your cycle is to reset your rituals at nighttime. When are you truly going to bed? When are you truly switching off? What's your wind down routine like? Are you scrolling? Are you on the gadgets at night? There are many different ways in which you can recalibrate by just bringing in a brand new nighttime ritual. They can bring in some great lifestyle factors, and what are the disruptors? Do you have kids screaming at you? Are you working overtime? So really look at the disruptors and see where you can get the support or make a shift. Because these like we actually create our own life, by the way. Nothing happens to us, we actually create it. So because we create it, we have the power and ability to recreate it and create those shifts and changes. So just know that. And even though it may seem like you're stuck, and if it does seem like you're stuck and you've got no way out right now, I cannot emphasize it enough. You know, this having the support to help you break through this pattern is going to be life-changing for your thyroid, for yourself, for your energy, for your patterning in the way you do life, so that you can actually live the rest of your life with health abundance. All right, now if that feels like it's way too far in the distance and out of reach, that's okay. That's fine. Just start with something that you can do now to put in place to create a lifestyle shift. All right, so these changes, they don't need to be dramatic and big. Ideally, what we want is we want consistency, because once we have consistency, that's when we're able to rewire our brain. All right, so consistency, so progress over perfection. And just start with one small thing and just drop it in the comments if this resonates. You may even wish to name what you're looking at changing or tweaking. So just to recap, stress and cortisol absolutely hijack your thyroid and your metabolism. There is no doubt about it. Okay, so the longer the unmanaged stress has been going on, the more depleted your thyroid will be and the more out of whack your metabolism will be. All right. Mandy's story is proof of that. And now with the right strategies and looking at those foundational layers and with the right treatment plan, she has improved out of sight. Absolutely. So just know that, you know, wherever you are now doesn't mean that that's where you're going to be forever and a day. There absolutely is hope. Okay, and it's not rooted in quick fixes at all. It is rooted in really rolling up your sleeve and creating some significant fundamental change and healing those deeper layers, whether they are rooted in emotional, mental, or physical elements that are underpinning and hooking you in that pattern. All right. So who doesn't want a breakthrough? If you're wanting a breakthrough of this pattern, just type breakthrough. Type breakthrough in the comments and we can have a chat. We can have a phone chat, pick up the phone, have a conversation. If you live locally, come over for a cup of tea, get on a Zoom, and we can have a chat just to see where I may be able to help you break through that pattern and really restore harmony and health to your thyroid so that you can lose the weight that you're wanting to lose. So if that resonates, if this resonates, or if you feel with anything that I've said, you feel that I may be the right person to help you with where you are now and where you want to be, just type breakthrough and let's make it happen. Because guess what? The doors to my thyroid restoration roadmap are reopening on the 1st of September. Okay, we've already had a couple of clients jump in early, and I'm going to be talking more about this just to showcase what's available for you between September and the rest of the year so that you can start 2026 feeling that you are actually in the driver's seat as opposed to the back seat of your health and your life. All right, so if you're wanting that, stay tuned. More about that over the next coming days, but essentially it reopens on the 1st of September. 4 months. 4 months of getting to the root cause, 4 months of understanding what's going on in your body, 4 months of healing those deeper layers, 4 months of resetting your mindset, your emotional well-being, improving your emotional well-being, you know, tweaking and changing some stuck habits, changing up some patterning, treatment plan that's actually bridging the gap from where you are now to where you need to be in terms of your digestive health, your thyroid health, your adrenal health, whatever else is going on in your body. And this comprehensive plan feels like it could be the right time for you. Just type breakthrough and we can get on the phone, because what I'm offering is, you know, if you wanted to jump in early, that is for free. So the rest of this month is for free, and then we kick off on the 1st of September. So essentially you can have a few, what are we now? 11 days, no, 30 days, no, 10 days. So 10 days for free. Yeah, so if you wanted to jump in, just type breakthrough and we'll set up a call to see where you're at, see if we're a good fit, see if what I do can help you, and we can team up and partner together. All right, so I hope you found this training valuable. Just type valuable if you've found it really valuable for you today, and if you've taken any golden nuggets, and I will look forward to seeing you next Wednesday at 10 a.m. Alrighty, bye for now.